You posted about my mom on your community wall. I've been following the True Story channel since 2021. Hello, Mr. True Story. I'm a 20-year-old recently enrolled into college. I've always been a huge fan of your channel. I've been wanting to write you since the chaos happened in my family. Things had been so hectic. You posted my mom's mugshot on your community wall. Unfortunately, the family as I knew it was ruined by my mom's gross actions. In 2017, my mom was accused of sleeping with one of my classmates. My dad tried to help my mother because no one thought it was true. Evidence proves that my mom did commit the gross act and cheated on my father. My dad spent $20,000 trying to save my mom, thinking that she was being falsely accused. My mother was a high school and middle school teacher in our district. Not anymore, obviously. The student my mother slept with is actually younger than me. He skipped a class in elementary, so at the time I was 16 and he was 15. We both played on the baseball team. The reason everyone found out is because he would brag about sleeping with the teacher, but he wouldn't say the name at first. I'm not going to say his name or anything, but he was a pretty popular kid in school and everyone knew he was going to go and be some star athlete one day. He played a lot of sports and he was very talented, unusually big for his size. He was the tallest in school. Well, one of the tallest, but he was very, very athletic. Throughout the year, some students would make comments to me about my mom. Dude, your mom is so hot. Oh, your dad is so lucky. Would even ask me if I ever heard my mom and dad do the do. It got very uncomfortable. Now, my mom didn't go to school dressed up, showing her body or anything like that. They just found her attractive. To me, she's just my mom. Today, my mom and I do have a relationship, but it's nothing like it was before. She completely obliterated our family. My dad divorced her, and he is ticked still to this day. She lied to my father, cheated on my father, and allowed him to run through so much money, taking out equity loans on the house and everything to help her out. She was lying the entire time. So this student would always brag to people about how he just nailed a teacher, and people would take guesses, and some would even guess my mom. But they'll look at me when they'd say that, and I'd give a look like, don't play, stop, I'm not in the mood. But he never admitted to it. He'd just say, nope, you guys will never guess who. Who says she's even at our school? Could be a different school. Then people started thinking that it was another teacher that was in another district. So we know about this teacher because this woman is known for being the hottest teacher in our city. But she's in a different school district, and she's a teacher and a coach, coaches tennis. Everyone started believing it was her, a woman that wasn't even at our school and in a completely different district. And a lot of my friends and people at school had friends that went to that school. And some would even say, one of the students here is sleeping with your teacher. It was just a rumor, but clearly it wasn't true because it wasn't that teacher. Now I should tell you about a time I brought this up to my mom. I didn't intend to. We were driving home and she was asking about my day, and it just came out. I told her how my classmate, X, was possibly sleeping with Mrs. W at the other school in another district. All of us on the team figured it out because he'd been bragging about sleeping with a teacher, and someone finally proved who the teacher is. My mom looked stunned. I look over at her and she had the most concerned look on her face. We ran a red light and almost ended up in an accident. I screamed at my mom and she snapped out of it. My mom turned the radio up and we went home. I think back on that time after going through all of this and think, wow, that's why mom reacted like that when I told her about X sleeping with W. And it's also interesting because I remember we had practice a couple days after that moment with my mom, and X wasn't talking about sleeping with the teacher anymore. He wasn't bragging anymore. He actually got upset with someone when they brought it up. One kid said, "So did you get it on with Mrs. W? Are you saving it for the weekend?" He got really angry, and we all thought he was going to try to fight the guy. He says I shouldn't have been bragging to you little horn dogs One of you have a big mouth. We all look up. X looks at me for a quick second, but then looks at the room again. I didn't even put two and two together, thinking about the conversation I had with my mother when she zoned out. X then said, "Guys, I made it all up. I'm not sleeping with no teacher. Who do you guys think I am?" I remember someone said, "Well, if any of us could, it'll be you." That was the end of that. And we went to practice. I'd actually forgotten all about it until one day. My dad called the school and I was told to come down to the office to receive his call. He didn't want to relay the message to the principal or the assistant. He wanted me to speak with him directly. I had a cell phone and I used to bring it to school, but I got caught texting and playing games on it way too many times, so I wasn't allowed to take my phone to school anymore. I headed over to the office and I got on the phone with my father, and my father told me not to say anything, but he told me what was going on. Kinda. He said, "I'm off work. I'm coming to get you myself. Your mom was escorted out today of your school. Not sure if you've seen that or not." I told him, "No, I have not." He told me to hush. "Don't say anything. I'll be there to pick you up. Everything will be all right. Just look for me at the pickup zone after school. You got it?" I said absolutely, hung up the phone, but I was just worried and I didn't say anything. I didn't even go to my mom's class to try to see if she was in there. Right when I was headed out of school, a couple guys ran up to me. "Dude, your mom's in jail." I said, "What? What are you talking about? She was escorted outside and people saw that she was being arrested. Your mom's in freaking jail. Dude, what'd she do?" I got so angry to the point that I wanted to punch one of the kids that was saying this because he kept hassling me. I didn't know what was going on. My heart was racing. My mom's in jail? For what? As soon as I got in the car with my dad, I started hitting him with a bunch of questions. Where is mom? What happened? What's going on? Kids are telling me that mom is arrested. My dad tells me to calm down and tries to give me a bottle of water, and I'm not trying to drink water when I know what's going on. This is my mom, and then on top of everything, it's embarrassing that she got arrested. For what? I started thinking of all types of things like, did my mom bring cigarettes in school? My mom used to smoke cigarettes, but she quit years ago. She's sneaking cigarettes, and I didn't know? I started thinking about things that would have never crossed my mind. My mom slept with a student. It honestly never crossed my mind. My dad still didn't tell me. He just told me to calm down, and he has to get to the bottom of this. He needs more information. My dad knew all along. He just didn't want me to know. I told my dad it's going to be very hard for me to go to school. Everybody's harassing me, asking me why my mom was arrested. I don't want to constantly hear that. My dad told me he will take me out of school for a little while until this is all settled. You shouldn't be there. I'll take you out for a couple weeks. He's already talked with my principal and teachers. I had to overhear my dad talking to both sets of grandparents, 2 different calls. I cracked his door open a little bit and I can hear him talking. My mom was arrested for sleeping with a student. When I heard that, I immediately thought, there is no freaking way. This has to be a mistake. Mom wouldn't do any crap like this, and that's what my dad was saying on the phone. So his parents and my mom's parents was gonna figure this out. So let me tell you guys how this all came about as far as my mom being arrested. So apparently, X continued to talk about who he was sleeping with. This time he was very specific and he told someone he thought was a friend. That friend told someone else, and that friend told someone else. You know how it goes. It got around, and somehow it got to the principal. And then it got back to X's parents. They told our principal, and the police said they had plenty of evidence. They had text messages about meeting up. I can't believe this. Now, no one discovered that it was X for a little while. It was kept secret. Eventually, my father found out after speaking with X's parents, and I knew who exactly X was. And I couldn't believe it. This whole time he's crying about banging a teacher. This guy was banging my mom. We're all kind of over it a bit. My dad's not the happiest in the world, but he's doing great. I've gotten over it too, but my relationship with my mom isn't great. Just the fact that my mom was doing it, I just don't know what was wrong with her. My mom's not a big drinker, and she's not on drugs. I don't know why she would do that. Yes, everything was taken to trial, and everything is public. True, I also would love to thank you for taking down the community post when I messaged you. An email, I assume you read it because you did as I asked you to do. It was just embarrassing, and seeing my mom's mugshot up there bothered me. But I noticed that you took it down immediately when I asked you. X's parents, of course, wanted my mom in jail. Under the jail. His mom even yelled out once that she should be doing life. Why'd she took her son's innocence? I was actually taken out of that high school. I was homeschooled. My dad got me enrolled into an online homeschool, and that's how I graduated. But the entire time still was stressful. I still was friends, or at least had the numbers of the guys that I was used to go to school with. I'd receive text messages. Hey, is it true? Oh my gosh, I heard about your mom. Oh my gosh, I thought on the news my parents were talking about it. It's embarrassing. We have people coming to our house, news reporters wanting to interview my father. I really feel bad for my father. He was cheated on and he was humiliated to the core. My dad kept a tough exterior, though it was kind of hard, but one day, it was one specific night to be exact, I caught my dad crying. He was bawling his eyes out. Lights were out in the room and I could hear it. It made me cry. I sat in the hallway and I cried. I went back to my room. My dad was broken and broke, but he never cried in my face. He just seemed like everything was going to be okay. That's what he would always say. We'll be fine. We'll get through this. My mom was released on bail and she came home. When she did come home, we quickly realized that she could not stay there. Moving in with her parents made better sense. Constantly people leaving letters and notes and signs in front of our house. Apparently, within the last decade or so, this has just been a pandemic. Teachers sleeping with students. I'm going to be honest with you. I never thought about it. It's not something we ever talked about in school. So even when I heard X bragging about sleeping with the teacher, I didn't believe an adult would. But apparently, it's a thing that's happening. A lot of teachers are getting in trouble. We all thought my mom was innocent. The evidence didn't come out early. The police didn't go to my father and my grandparents and say, oh, we know for sure that your wife or daughter slept with this student because we have this evidence. No evidence ever came out until later. No one knew anything about text messages. All that evidence came out afterwards, later on. My dad got equity loans in the house, even borrowed money from other places. He had faith in my mom, and my mom knew the entire time that she was lying, denying, saying it never happened. It was so long and drawn out because she didn't want to tell the truth. Once I was down at the elementary school near my home playing basketball, and a group of kids came up along with one of my old friends. My old friend pointed me out, yelling, "There he is." I'm not going to say some of the words that was said, but I'm sure you all could imagine. I actually ended up fighting my old friend, not because he was saying things about my mom, but because he threw the ball in my face and busted my lip while throwing out derogatory names. I beat him pretty bad. Luckily, none of the guys he was with helped him. They all made fun of him after he begged me to stop. I got my ball and I went home. Cried the whole way there, not because of the injury the ball caused, but because I was sick of this bullcrap that my mom was putting us through. I do forgive my father for this, but he got angry with me when I told him I just had a fight. He said this family doesn't need any more heat on us, and me going out taking my anger out on innocent boys, his exact words, isn't the answer. My dad wouldn't even listen to me when I told him the guy assaulted me. I didn't understand then, but I later understood that my dad was just under a lot of stress. We've talked about that moment, and he apologized, and he admitted that he was under a lot of stress and was told depressed even. The time my dad discovered that mom was lying and evidence proved that she was lying the whole time. My dad was done and he immediately went to a lawyer for divorce. I was with him when he did it. My dad was done with my mom. He was trying to figure out a way to get the money back. He wanted to sue and everything. He didn't go through with that, but he did go through with divorcing my mom. So my mom's punishment, she lost her license to teach. My mom can never teach again, ever. It's not like she can go to a different district and teach. She can never get her license back, even if she tried. It'll be very hard in the state that we live in. It's pretty much a guarantee she's not getting it. But if she moved to another state, maybe, but I doubt it, because they're going to know what she did. My mom got 5 years probation, and she had to register as an offender. That's for life. She can't live in certain neighborhoods, and there's other rules she had to abide by. My dad indeed did divorce my mom, and she didn't put up a fight at all at first. She knew what she did was wrong. I never saw my mom shed a single tear about anything. But once the divorce was finalized, my mom begged my dad to take her back, and she said how she made the biggest mistake of her life. My mom claimed that X seduced her, and she was the victim. My mom never said any of this before, but when it came to trying to get my dad back, nothing was her fault. My dad assured her that he'd never come in between me and my mom's relationship, but he told her they could never be again. X is an athlete today. I'm not going to say who he is or where he is. That's his story to tell if he ever decided to tell one day. I always wonder if he makes it to a professional athlete, if he'd write a book about it, or is it just going to be kept in his past? Like I said, I do still speak to my mother, but our relationship is not close at all. I don't hate my mom at all. It's just weird now. I mean, she's not even the same. Our conversations are just so awkward now. Deep down, I want to ask her why she did it. What was she thinking? But I've never asked her. My dad told me himself he'll never remarry, but my mom did mention to me the last time we talked that she'd had to like for me to attend her wedding, but if I don't, then she understands. I had no idea my mom was engaged, like I said. We don't speak much. True, I thought I'd send you this story, man, and again, thanks for doing what you did before. It was from a different email account that I was using, but thanks for what you do. Take care. Wow, dude. I know exactly what you're talking about because it was a while ago. And you're right, I didn't. I think I meant to email you back, but I didn't email you back. I remember I remember like it was yesterday. You emailed me and was asking me, "Hey, you just posted on your community wall." And this was when I was posting on a community wall a lot of articles kind of similar to stuff like that. I stopped doing that. But yeah, you did tell me, "Hey, can you take that down? That's my family's going through it." I kind of briefly read through it. You had wrote it was kind of long too, but I was reading like, okay, this isn't a story. But he's asking me to take the community post I just posted it, and I had just posted it, and I saw it. I was like, you must be talking about this one. And I just took it down. I just took it down. I'm glad you're good. I'm glad your mom, your dad's. I'm glad your dad's good. I don't wish anything bad on your mom, but what she did was, how did she basically got a slap on the wrist. She got a slap on the wrist. Now you guys already know. I'm not even gonna paint that picture. We already know the double standard. Listen, man, this stuff is happening a lot. I see it all the time in the news. It's happening a lot. These female teachers are just going at these students, man. Guys, let me know what you think about this in the comments. I'll catch you guys at the next one.